Hey guys, Brian from Boas here. I've been super busy the last few months with my pairings of Locality Boas, and this year I have an amazing lineup of breeding pairs, and I think I'm going to have some really sensational babies on the ground in a few months. Today I want to give you an update on the progress of these pairings. I'm going to show you some of my gravid females and also update you on some of my other pairings. I'm also going to say a little bit about sales information. So if you're looking to acquire a top quality true red tail or other Locality Boa, make sure you stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, this is the place for information about all aspects of keeping and breeding boa constrictors in captivity. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future boa videos if you want to learn all about these amazing animals. A lot of my energy since I paired up my animals back in December has been spent on them, just monitoring the pairings, pairing up animals, separating them to feed, etc. And so I recently separated them to feed and did a appraisal of what I have so far, just trying to take stock, figuring out what pairings look like they worked, what ones look like they didn't work, what ones might work given another month or two. So I'll update you guys on that. But I feel pretty good about my pairings this year. As you may know if you've been following the channel, this is my number one record year for pairings. I have 15 pairings set up. We'll just have to see how many of them are successful. One of them is this guy. This is a Prometheus bloodline, true red tail boa, amazing looking animal. And hopefully this guy has some babies in the oven right now, and in a few months we'll have some second generation Prometheus bloodline boas on the ground. And I'll show you his girlfriend in a minute here. But right now I'd say I have apparent post-ovulation sheds from 10 of the 15. And I say apparent because I'm not always sure it's a post-ovulation shed until after the babies are born. In some cases it's just a regular shed. In some cases the post-ovulation shed is actually to come, and I might think a shed is a post-ovulation shed and I might time the due date based on that, but then that date comes and goes, so that I know at that point that the real post-ovulation shed was the second shed. And so late April is always around the time of the year I start to get a little antsy, since I've already spent a few 4 months just pairing these animals up, but babies are still probably about 2 months away. And I remember when I first started breeding, the last couple months just seemed to go on for years and years, and I just couldn't wait to see those babies on the ground. So if you're breeding this year and you've got to this point, just be patient. Good things are going to come. You just have to wait a little bit longer. So right now, as I mentioned, I feel pretty good about a third, and about a third of my pairings I still think are pretty likely to happen. I typically will keep the pairings together until June unless I'm sure they're gravid. So a lot of my animals are still going to be paired up. They're separated now for feeding, but the male will go back in next week. I just want to give them every possible chance to make babies, and hopefully some of these animals which don't appear to be gravid yet will be gravid by the end of the season, and June is usually where I call the line. So now let's check out some of my females, and I can give you an update on an animal by animal basis. I'm going to start off with the female that I had paired up with the Prometheus line male. And so there she is. So she's been pretty much sitting still over the hot spot for the last few weeks, and she's looking really big around. So I'm pretty confident that this female's gravid at this point. So this is going to be a really great litter, possibly an epic litter. This female is now 7 years old. I've been growing her up since she was born here back in 2014. And her first time breeding, paired up with the Prometheus line male that was born here in 2016. So two amazing bloodlines coming together for the first time. Really excited to see what this one could produce. She recently had her apparent post-ovulation shed, so I would expect that her babies will be on the ground sometime, probably late July or maybe early August. They tend to go a little bit longer than would predicted from the post-ovulation shed, plus 105 days. So really looking forward to this Suriname true red tail litter. Here's another super rare Locality Boa that I haven't produced in a couple of years. That's Honduran firebelly boa. And so female's here in her hiding place. So you can see she's looking really big. You know, this female, I'm pretty sure she's gravid at this point. I produced these for the first time back in 2018, and then I bred her again the following year in 2019, and for some reason she gave birth prematurely. So of the 13 babies, unfortunately only 2 made it. The other were stillborn. It was really heartbreaking. So hopefully this year we'll have a smoother litter, and you know, she won't give birth prematurely. But you know, really uncommon type of locality boa, descended from a small group of animals established by Dennis Sargent and Tom Crutchfeld. And this animal comes from legacy reptiles. You know, so I'm 100% confident that this is the real thing, the real Honduran fire belly boa. I think there's very few people still working with these, so any animal we can add to the captive gene pool is very, very valuable. And then I would expect this one will probably deliver sometime in July. I'm not exactly sure about this next one. This is a Lonchakata boa. And so this female I originally tried to pair up last year back in 2020. Kept them together for 6 months. Saw lots of apparent activity, but she didn't become gravid. So I have them together again this year. And I actually did see the hemipede of the male inserted into her on at least one occasion. So pretty sure that they've done the deed, and she is kind of coiling above the hot spot. She's not looking real huge, so if she does have a litter, it will probably be a pretty small one, but keeping my fingers crossed that we'll have some Lonchakata here at Brian Boas in 2021, that is. Another really exciting true red-tailed pairing I have going on this year are my Peruvian Boas, and this female is looking really promising. So you can see she's been coiling above her hot spot the last few weeks, looking really thick around. So I'm really hopeful that I'll have some more Peruvian Boas. Had a nice litter last year, a little on the small side, but you know, any of these boas are just a blessing to have. They're just such beautiful, amazing animals. So we'll see how this female, if I get any. This is a second generation one. She was born here back in 2015, and I've been growing her up, you know, with the aim to breed, and hopefully these efforts will be rewarded in a few months. So stay tuned to see what's going on with this Peruvian boa. I actually have a second Peruvian pairing going on this year. This is that female, and she's looking promising, although I don't think she's gravid yet at this point. In fact, I've seen the male was, you know, they were tail to tail, her and the male, just about a week or so ago. So I'm going to keep them together. I think these guys are definitely on the right track, but we may need to wait another month or two before I confirm this female's gravid. But fingers crossed that I'll have 2 beautiful Peruvian litters this year. Next, we have kind of an interesting situation. This is my Hog Island female, and I'm pretty sure she's been gravid for about a month or so, just by how she looks and how she's been acting. Although she didn't have a post-ovulation shed, and she recently has gone into a shed. So I'm not sure if this might be the post-ovulation shed or it's just kind of a mid-gestation shed. Sometimes they skip the post-ovulation shed. So I'll just have to wait and see. She actually gave birth the first time 2 years ago. And based on her delivery date, which was at the end of June, I would expect that she would have already ovulated and be gravid by now. So I'm just, you know, keeping an eye on her. Sometimes you don't get a post-ovulation shed, so you don't know exactly when the babies are going to arrive. Here's another female that looks really, really promising. This is my Pearl Island female. So she's just been basically coiled over the hot spot for the last month or so. You know, classic behavior for a gravid female. She's looking really big too. You can see she's got these white spaces between her scales because her abdomen is so, you know, distended, hopefully from all the babies developing inside of her. So this female first bred for me 2 years ago and got a litter of 5 really nice babies. You know, typically these guys give birth to smaller litters of larger babies, but she definitely looks bigger this year, so we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully it's not just a bunch of slugs. And I would imagine, based on her post-ovulation shed and when she gave birth 2 years ago, that this will be one of my first litters for 2021. I'm guessing sometime towards the end of June. We'll hopefully have these Pearl Island babies on the ground. So stay tuned. This next pairing I think could go either way. I'm not sure she's gravid at this point. I see some signs, but it's not a sure thing. This is a Coops pastel female, and you can see she's not really showing the classic behavior for a gravid female. She's kind of exploring, although she has been staying over her hot spot, not quite tightly coiled, but in kind of a loose coil. I think right now she just wants food, since I have some rats thawing and she's going to get her meal in a couple hours. She hasn't eaten in about a month, so it's understandable. We'll have to see. This female does look pretty big. She's one of my larger animals, but she's looking really swollen towards the abdomen, so that's a good sign. Just have to see if she's gravid or not, but hopefully we'll have some of these beautiful Coops pastel boas. These guys were produced by Vin Russo. This is a really orange female. He's been selecting them to get more and more orange, and hopefully we'll have some spectacular babies. Here's another one I'm not completely sure of. This is a North Brazilian red tail and header with the male, and I have definitely seen some signs of activity. She's not all the time acting completely gravid, although right now this is what you would expect from a gravid female. She's just tightly coiled over the heat spot, trying to conserve heat. So maybe I'm wrong. This will be a first time pairing for the North Brazilians. This is a 2015 female, and beautiful animals. I'd really be psyched if we had some North Brazilian boas. This is a great bloodline. This female was produced by Mike Weitzman from Basically Boas, from a number of different bloodlines, and just a classic look of a North Brazilian with lots of background markings and irregular saddles, and really beautiful, really long red tail. Just a gorgeous animal, and I imagine if she does have some babies, they're going to be beautiful examples of the locality. I'm going to end the video by showing you a couple pairings that unfortunately don't look to have worked this year. And try as I might, it's always up to the boas in the end whether they want to make some babies or not. And one of these, unfortunately, is the Paraguana Peninsula boa from Venezuela. This is actually my male. I thought I'd show you a male since I've been showing just females so far. I did see some activity early on, back in like December, January, but the female is not looking or acting gravid, so I'm not really hopeful about this pairing. This is the first time I've paired them up, and they're 2014 babies, so they should be old enough, but sometimes it just doesn't work out the first time around. You just have to try again next year and see what happens with these Paraguana Peninsula boas. And another locality boa that used to be kind of a standard every year litter here at Bryan Boas. Unfortunately, the Tarhumara boas don't appear to be gravid. There's my female. Although interestingly, I just discovered she just shed, so maybe that's a sign, I don't know. But anyway, she doesn't appear to be gravid, and the male didn't really show much signs of interest in her. And this male had produced 4 litters previously, and then for some reason I don't understand, last year he didn't produce a litter with my other adult female, and unfortunately this female's not looking gravid either. So he just might be getting a little old and maybe a little tired of breeding. Maybe I need to get a younger male in to mix things up a bit. So unfortunately it doesn't look like we'll be having any Tarhumara here in 2021. So that's the latest on my breedings and some of my gravid females. So I've been getting a lot of questions about people that want to buy boas, how they can buy the boas. And so I just briefly wanted to go over that. So if you stay tuned to this channel, I'm going to give updates on a regular basis about births of babies. In fact, hopefully we can bring you the experience and the thrill of seeing a litter of baby boas born. I'll also give updates about how the babies are doing and when they're going to be for sale. So typically my babies go up for sale about a month and a half to 2 months after they're born. So I expect that they're going to be born typically between late June and late September. And so they'll go up for sale sometime between late August and late November. And so we saw the females that I have, but unfortunately I can't guarantee that I'm going to have babies from any of these pairings or that they're going to be available. But hopefully this video gives you some idea of what to expect. And so the sales are on a first come, first served basis. I don't do waiting lists, but if you stay tuned to these videos in the future, I'll give all the full details about where I'm going to list the babies and when they're going to be for sale. So make sure to stay tuned if you're interested in possibly getting one of my Locality Boas. My babies do sell out quite fast, so if you're interested in something, make sure that you pay attention so you don't miss out. I do payment plans with a 25% non-refundable down payment due, with the remainder due in 90 days, at which point the animals can ship weather permitting. So if there's a Locality Boa you've always wanted and I happen to have a pairing this year, make sure to stay tuned, because a lot of these types of Locality Boas are really rarely available, and I wouldn't want you to miss out on your dream boa. So that was an update on my 2021 Locality Boa breeding trials. I hope this video was helpful and informative. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop me a line via social media. Thanks for watching and enjoy your boas.